All right, mic check, mic check, mic check. Should be able to hear, see the screen, all that. Welcome, welcome, Mr. Blue here. TradePhantoms.com. Hopefully, everybody had a good weekend. Today is Tuesday, July 15th, 2025. I'm your guide, your host, Mr. Blue, and I'll go through about, give or take, an hour, give or take, on YouTube, Instagram, streaming here live. I'll go through about an hour, give or take, hour and a half, 90 minutes, going through pre-market prep, and we'll see, take you to the open, see if there's a couple of trading opportunities trading off the open. So TradePhantoms.com here. I'll start off with futures and go into some stock and options, etc. A little bit of crypto, Bitcoin's all-time highs. Before I do that, I'll bring this up. I bring this up every single morning, no matter where I am. Good morning, everybody on YouTube, etc. Bring this up no matter what. And Trade Phantoms, demand and supply, institutional demand and supply. Top-down multiple time frame analysis. Okay, monthly, weekly, daily. You'll see a couple of color codes here. Orange. You'll see a bunch of orange, yellow, and blue on the time on my charts, and they have to do with a certain time frame association. Oranges have to do with the orange color code is going to have to do with the monthly time frame. Weekly is going to be yellow color code. Daily time frame is going to be a blue kind of color code. So anything that you see in those designated colors has to do with those respective time frames here. We talk a lot more about this in the focus classes at Phantoms. We got candlesticks here, bullish, a bunch of fancy names, but location and context being super critical. Bearish candlesticks, again, a bunch of fancy names here, but of course, location is going to be more location and context and condition is going to be more important there. And then we get the liquidity map, super important. I kind of parked this over here to the left, and usually this gets brought up about once or a couple times throughout the trading sessions that we have at Trade Phantoms. All right, cool. That said, I will dive in. We did have news, I should say, dive into a couple of news announcements here. Today being Tuesday, the 15th of July. In terms of the U.S., we did have some Canadian news as well, 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time CPI, along with U.S. CPI as well, core, year over year, month over month, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And a long story short here is everything pretty much came in as expected. Okay, I came in as expected. Maybe the year over year, maybe not as great, but everything's pretty much smooth. Inflation is fairly down, and if you're paying attention to this kind of stuff, this is an important one here. It has to do with inflation, so of course, or pricing index. So it has to do a lot with what the Fed is going to be looking at. That one of the things, key metrics that they're going to be looking at, in addition to other things as well, for holding their rates steady or not, right? Jerome Powell. And Donald Trump, even though we really don't get much into politics at Phantoms. However, kind of going at it a little bit there. Too slow, Jerome, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, the inflation's not really here right now, as it's coming into the month of June for July. Okay, I guess it's going to be June's data, but of course we have a couple months now, quote unquote. I have my fingers in a quote here for the tariffs to potentially take effect. So I will see. I don't want to turn this into an economic class, Econ 101. All right, but we did have CPI. That's a big number there, or a big news announcement there. Okay, it came in basically as expected, so not much there. Getting to the charts, as this is the good stuff here, and I will start off with the major four indexes here. So futures. I got the S&P futures upper left, Dow Jones upper right. I'm sorry, S&P upper left, NASDAQ upper right, Dow Jones lower left, followed by the Russell 2000 small caps bottom right. Everything here on the daily time frame. You always want to start with the monthly and the weekly as well. Typically, when I go over to Trading View, you'll see that in a moment. But here's just a standalone daily time frame of the S&P futures. Okay, and here's the current price. Okay, new all-time high yesterday, or last night, yesterday evening. You'll see that in a moment. 63.43 is the S&P futures high watermark high right now. As you can see, we made a new higher high. So bull market, of course. I've been referencing this a couple weeks ago where we had this massive positive COG here. There was a couple of them positive COGs, belt hold, wide range bars. Okay, following through. Past 2 weeks coming off the back of July 4th holiday weekend. We've been on highs, and then since then we kind of just been kind of like gradually kind of sideways. Nothing too crazy here. Right, we just for the past week or two, you'll see on the weekly time frame. In a moment, I mapped out last week's high, last week's low on SPY, SPY, and SPX, and QQQs. You'll see that in a moment. Okay, kind of a slow grind higher, but a grind higher nonetheless. Just off the back of what is it? Everything that's coming up across the news stream here. Markets are just kind of like brushing that off. Okay, tariff deadline. So new tariffs getting put on Mexico, certain things like that, right? So markets just are not really caring right now for this time around, right? As far as that, so we'll see how that gets affected. But for today, we got all-time highs. I will reference you to this 20-period moving average that I've been talking a little bit about, how we've been just kind of riding this 20 EMA higher, low, higher, low in a daily time frame here. So I've been referencing that over the past several weeks. It just in regard now that we have alignment in terms of monthly, weekly, daily time frames to the to up, being up. Okay, I have a couple levels lower down here. I think it'll make more sense as I get down into the said smaller time frames. I'll map out the Globex traps in a moment. However, I will make one little note and adjustment here. This 20-period moving average on the daily time frame comes in about 62. Let me see. I'm going to make a note of this. Make a different color of this line right here. Call it 62.14-ish, 62.15-ish, give or take. So again, I want to reference this as a G trap, but this is also confluence with the 20 EMA on daily time frame. Okay, this is also going to be used as a G trap. This will make more sense when I get down to the said 60-minute smaller time frame. All right, just making a note of that. NASDAQ, all-time highs. Daily time frame NASDAQ, 20 PM moving average here. We just have kind of a walk up. COG's changing of the guard. COG changing of the guard. And so base. All for the most part, last week we've been kind of like up a little bit, down a little bit, up a little bit, down a little bit, just base, kind of almost like an inside bar for the past 2 weeks. This is a daily time frame, right? So today's only Tuesday. Yesterday being Monday. Nice little bullish stance on the bar. Nice little bullish day. Decent. Okay. All inside. And yesterday had a decent little close green. Then we get some fall through finally here today, right? Get a little bit of a close green. Positive COG, no fall through last week. Even though we're NASDAQ daily time frame here, NASDAQ futures all time highs. Okay. We finally just base, and then today we get some breakout here. Got some news on NVIDIA as well, and AMD. They could ship their chips now, I guess, to China. So that's the thing. NVIDIA is gapping up, printing up into the 172 handle. I'll get to that in a moment. But also that's going to kind of naturally, if you will, push the NASDAQ, being the tech sector, up as well, along with the S&Ps, right? So NASDAQ breaking out, base break, got that 20-period moving average, whatever. I'll just make a little note here on one of these lines closest to that 20-period moving average. Just make it a different color here, so it kind of sticks out a little bit there. In the event that we do get some kind of pullback, G-trap long down in here, okay, this would be, I just want to reference this to 20 EMA on the daily. Similarly, what I did to the S&P 500 there, make that a different color there, just so I know what my major mean reversion is. Okay, if I kind of scale back here, just beautiful. After Liberation Day, Trump, and kind of mid-April, the market's just been on kind of a nice high, low uptrend, back continuation into the bull market, all-time highs. Okay, Bitcoin all-time highs as well. All right, and that's pretty much it. I mean, pretty much for the most part, pretty simple, in just in regard to, hey, try not to fight this tape and price action. Okay, I know there's a lot of things in the backdrop with news and geopolitical stuff, and Fed being slow to raising rates, or the drama between the Fed and Congress at the moment, or I should say politics. All right, but I'm not going to get into that right now. Got the monthly, got the weekly, got the daily time frame here. Monthly, weekly, daily, super important there. Okay, always check where your monthlies and weeklies are closing and where you are relative. Okay, in the supply and demand equation there. All right, I am going to drop down to a 60-minute time frame here to give you the lay of the land as well for some new folks visiting the channel. I got a 60-minute here in the upper left, followed by a 30-minute bottom left, 5-minute here in the middle, and then I got a 2-minute time frame on the right here. I'm going to pop open this 60-minute time frame, 1 hour. All right, and here we are, current price up here. Okay, 1 hour time frame S&P futures, and there it is, right? 6343 up there, new all-time high about maybe 30 minutes ago, give or take. Okay, we had this all-time high up here, 63.35, which inevitably kind of got tagged out. Okay, by got by a couple points. Last week? Okay, then we kind of pulled back down. We had a Globex high, Globex low here late last week. Okay, came down into this demand zone, 62, 67, 62, 68 handle, which was a level of demand. Okay, so again, just bopping and weaving below, above, between demand and supply. Be careful shorting all-time highs, of course. Popped out into a new high right now. All right, we talked a little bit about in the group. We had this level of control. Okay, I'm on a 60-minute time frame, but we have this new high segment right here, which created this what's called level in control, called the 62.34. So even though we were having a couple of drops last week, really wasn't taking out any, big drop here, whatever, big drop, relatively speaking, little, 1 hour drop down here, drop, but cannot just break or cannot break any demand. Okay, even not even the greatest level of demand. For example, this level here that just got tagged on Sunday, even though we gapped down into it, which we had pinned on the charts all the way since last week. Okay, this was Sunday's gap down. Okay, for this week. Yesterday being, of course, here's Monday. Here's the overnight session for today. Okay, even came down at 62.80s and worked this level out. Now, I'm going to update my Globex trap. I just wanted to show you all that how this Globex high, Globex low, in the institutional level demand. Okay, but for example, below the Globex low in the context of an uptrend works out very well in terms of the setup. We talked about that in the when there's a lot more time in regard to class. For right now, this is going to be the Globex high right now, as mentioned, 6343, and I kind of bring this blue line here to represent that. All right. Again, 1 hour time frame of the S&P futures. Here's the Globex low, right there in Thinkorswim. It kind of grazed the space out here. Okay, so there's the overnight low. Here's the overnight high. Great. Now the setup is here's current price. If we were to break the said Globex low here, 6,300, do I have an institutional level of demand below that? So if I look down and below here, okay, we do have a bit of a impulse right here below the Globex low. Okay, so here's an impulse IBI, if you will, below that Globex low there. Okay, this comes in at about roughly, let's see here. Still this line here, give or take, call it 62.83. S&P futures, 1 hour time frame, mapping out the Globex trap, 1 hour impulse right there. Okay, so this could be a G trap long. Okay, we can also still potentially reference this level here. Now it's been tested. Okay, so it's not prime. So here's current price. There was the first level that I just mapped out. Look down the left, 6267 here. Okay, this has been tested. Okay, already to this level over here to the left. Okay, so we already kind of mapped that out last week. Came down again. Doink. That's the low so far for this week, being Sunday evening. Okay, or early parts Monday morning for this week. Okay, so we can reference this still in regard, but this is going to be aggressive down here as we've been tested. If you follow these little ellipses here to the left. Okay, up and left. Be careful. I mean, we just put in a new high right now, about maybe 30 minutes ago, give or take, 63.43. So typically, you'd want to have a level of institutional supply, okay, above the Globex high, okay, and we don't have that. Okay, we don't have that. There's no objective level of supply. We just made a new all-time high a little while ago, right? So again, this market could just kind of continue its little grind higher. Now, one thing that I do that I have prepped already for us. Kind of went through a couple of things here on options depth. Okay, this is a little bit more advanced. All right, I'll get back to this in a moment. But in regard to all-time highs, if we have nothing objectively to the left, up and left into supply, which is nothing there because we're in all-time highs, there's really nothing to reference other than maybe Fibonacci extensions, which is kind of basic TA. Or we can go a lot more deeper into this and look at what's called options, open interest, order blocks, so on and so forth. Okay, so 6350 has a major institutional order block up here in regard to options. Okay, but I guess I'll put a pin on that in a moment, and we'll get to that. We'll get to that in a moment as I kind of go through the process here. Okay, so just in short, in English, what I'm trying to say is just be extremely careful trying to sell short to open. Okay, for a bearish trade. Okay, even if you're looking to try to take a quick little scalp for a mean reversion. Okay, which is needed. Okay, at some point, of course. Okay, but just be careful with that. Okay, I'll get back to referencing that option step in a moment. Okay, let me do NASDAQ first. NASDAQ futures. All right, 60-minute time frame. All right, kind of crazy, but before I delete this work here, okay, we had a Globex high, Globex low, for our, even like last, on Thursday session, okay, kind of inside bar. Then this week on Sunday, we gapped down, we sliced right below a little liquidity sweep right there. You see that little green line right there? Okay, I had made a note, sneaky G trap entry liquidity sweep. Well, what they do on Sunday evening, long and behold, doink, the liquidity sweeps it right below this obvious level where there's a ton of stop losses here, right? And then now, as you can see, after this base, base. This is the low range. There goes the liquidity sweep first and foremost, right before they take it off, and then we have new all-time highs here today. Okay, so liquidity sweeping, super important concept that I talk about when I have more time. Okay, here's the Globex high now, refreshing here for today. Here's the Globex low. Here, all right. And institutional level below the Globex low would be here. Here's the Globex low. Institutional level demand below that would be look down and left. And it's not the greatest level in the world because it's been tested 1,000 times here. Okay, they already liquidity swept it right back down here, as well as I just mentioned on Sunday evening. Okay, I would still reference this area 22.820 handle. Okay, 22.820 handle, 825 to be exact. Also have that 22.780. Now, I'm not sure if it's going to get all the way down here, but again, I'm going to continue to reference those setups there. Right, might take a day or two. Okay, but this is going to be a decent little setup there, as it already was. If you're tracking from last week, where I talked about that liquidity sweep. Okay, I might not get that all the way down there. If I wanted to give you a little bit something, if I wanted to give you something a little more aggressive, okay, there's the Globex high, there's the Globex low. Okay, if you want to try to get in on the momentum already, we already had a little bit of a pullback on VWAP here, a little bit of a positive COG. Could have a little bit of fall through on this off the open, all right, off the back of decent little CPI data right there. Always account for VWAP test, that white line right there, that dashed line. Okay, in the event that we were to break the Globex low, because that is a setup, we do have a little bit of an aggressive level right below here on Nasdaq. A little bit of an impulse, basing impulse. This wick is kind of annoying from yesterday's kind of chop. Okay, but we can kind of put this all together here. Call it 22,925. This would be an aggressive G trap long. Okay. All right, something called the trap trade. Super powerful. Decent one down here. Nasdaq futures, 1 hour time frame, 22,925 handle, pretty decent. Noted aggressive. If you're super aggressive, you can kind of reference. We already had kind of a VWAP test. This level hasn't really been touched. So these little levels right in here, these would be kind of super aggressive here. Would not qualify for a G trap because it would have to be below the Globex low. Okay, but these little gray areas here, these impulse, basing impulse in the 5s, minute time frame here, I'm going to 5-minute time frame Nasdaq futures. Could be used as a little bit of some pullbacks. If we pull back into mid range on the Globex high, Globex low. Okay, you can see the Nasdaq just put in a high 10 minutes ago, new high. So if you make a new high, you have to update your Globex high. All right, VIX, where you at? Daily time frame VIX, daily time frame of the VIX here. Keep it short and sweet. Keep it simple. VIX down, market up. VIX up, market down. Inverse correlation, opposites attract. Type deal here. All right, VIX is down. 3.5% pre-market. That's the thing there. Map this out on the overnight high, overnight low as well. So you can see the overnight low in VIX is here on a small time frame here, 2 minutes. Overnight low, overnight high is here. Kind of gap down. I'll use the we have a gap down here, right? Albeit VIX down 3.5%. Okay, VIX down, market up. So we'll see if that continues. If VIX continues to grind lower, okay, that could be a bit more bullish for the market, of course. Could just have a continued great grind higher for the day, potentially. Not sure. Okay, we'll see. If the VIX kind of comes back in mid, we'll see how that trades in the middle there. If it happens to take out its overnight high and trades higher and trends higher, okay, that could be a little bit more bearish for the market. Now, not crash, okay, but we could, have what's called a walk down, step down below daily VWAP today. All right, it's a little bit more advanced topic, but I got to keep it moving. All right, so VIX, super important there to map out. Dollar on its pullback segment. Gold, dead smack in mid-range. I'm not even going to speak about it. We'll save some time on that for right now. I love gold, but as of right now, it's extremely rangy. We'll save some time on that for right now. All right, so I got the SPY. Okay, I got a monthly, weekly, daily here. I know it might be a lot of lines here, but I promised you there's a method to the madness here if I kind of zoom in monthly. All right, broke new previous all-time high, of course. All right, as far as last week, is weekly in the middle. All right, gapping up here, outside gap. All right, outside gap so far. We're going to making a new high in the SPYs. Okay, last week's high here, last week's low here. Yeah, this bar right here. It's only Monday because it's only Monday. Today is about to be Tuesday, or today is Tuesday, right? So as you can see, like last week, right, we popped a new high, albeit here's the low, right? This is not last week's low. This is the prior week low, but I kept kind of the prior week high, the first week of June, July high and low here because that's kind of holding. Within last week's high did pop out real quick, but I just still have this mother bar here, okay, because we didn't really close outside of here. Now today we're gapping up outside of this weekly high and the prior week's high as well. Okay, so a little bit of a base break higher. As you can see last week, we kind of moved up, down, up, down, up, down, but just kind of more sideways condition, if you will, right? So again, there's really nothing to stop this market. New all-time highs. We get some CPI data, pretty decent. NVIDIA, AMD, got some good news on that for right now. We have to be careful for the fade, okay, but base break, new high, outside gap, be pretty interesting to see here today. Now, the SPY close here, slight gap up here today, 0.44%. If that were to hold right now for the next 15 minutes, okay, 17 minutes, give or take, 0.44. Now, SPX, check this out. Remember, I was talking about how we have nothing to the upper left in terms of supply objectively to lean against. But 0.44% SPX here, cash index of the S&P 500. I'll be opening thereabouts, 63, 62.95, 62.90, plus or minus 5, 10, 7 points, give or take, right? So 62.95-ish handle, give or take, if nothing changes over the next 15 minutes with S&Ps and NASDAQ futures. I say that to say this, okay? So if I look at 60 to 95-ish, if I look at the heat map here, okay, we're basically opening up at or around right here. Okay, if I look at this options depth here. Now, this is interesting. Why? Well, a couple of reasons. We do have a little bit of what's called a negative GEX environment right now that we would be opening up into, which would be, to keep it short and sweet and be a little more volatile. All right. Thoughts on BTC? Bullish. I started off, a couple of sessions ago earlier last week talking about, the team and I don't short Bitcoin. We're just long Bitcoin. So it's all-time highs, man. I mean, there's nothing else really much to say about it other than don't get in front of this train here. Just continues to make new all-time highs. So we talked a little bit about how we had this positive COG a couple months ago fall through, okay, on the monthly positive COG here after we already pulled back as well into the previous retracement here. So Bitcoin's easy. Bitcoin's easy to trade. Just impulse correction. Just look at your higher time frames. Okay, these are all my notes from like even years ago. Getting long Bitcoin here, right? Impulse, massive correction here on the monthly. Impulse, massive correction here over the past couple of months ago before this rally here, and then we made a new higher high. Okay, so if I look at the monthly here, it's doing its thing. Monthly higher high. A couple months ago in the month of April, we had a positive COG here. After that, pull back into a previous all-time high, retest level on the other side. Super simple. Okay, positive COG. And the past 3 months right here have followed through into a new high after we had this what's called positive CRG close right there. That's on a monthly. Went to a weekly, same thing. Okay, there's a pullback, same thing here. There was a previous all-time high here. There's the retest. Got some positive CRGs on the weeklies, even over here too, along with the monthlies. Okay, there goes our quick little new high tag here. Went on a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 week kind of pullback sequence here, holding up in the upper third range. There goes a positive CRG on the weekly. Pop, new high. Okay, we talked about this last week. How I was like, oh, Bitcoin's ready to go. Pretty much prime right now. Here's the daily time frame. There's a positive CRG in the weekly. There goes a positive CRG in the daily. Okay, then we had inside bar, mother bar break. Boom, Phantoms members. Catching this. Okay, catching this. All right, we've been on top of this for quite some time now. Even before this breakout right now, even in the month of October, we did a special Leaving Crypto class in the month of October or November, give or take, right before this October pump here. We were talking about how it was a very similar setup into the breakout into new highs. So you're never going to hear Phantoms, or at least from myself, Mr. Blue, shorting Bitcoin. I don't day trade Bitcoin. I'm long-term investing it, right? So I'm just, wealth, long-term stuff here. Bitcoin, new all-time high, right? 23K, 123K. Try not to short this thing. Be careful. BlackRock is behind it. So I'm just more of an accumulator, okay, on big pullbacks, monthly, weekly, daily, lower, accumulate, go. Beautiful chart, and this is all ugly too. This is ugly. I appreciate that comment first and foremost. I appreciate that. Lakai, hopefully I'm saying your name right. But this is all ugly. This is not even that organized. So, but I appreciate that though. Could be a little more cleaner there. But yeah, on top of that, we've been on top of basically Phantoms, humbly speaking. On top of almost every new high segment. As if you know what you're doing. You just gotta be patient. Bitcoin has been doing this. I was waiting for this liquidity. I knew it was pretty much almost time to go too, because we had this liquidity sweep below this monthly range. Swept it real quick right there. We had what's called a fakey breaky. There was a positive CRG in the daily, along with a positive CRG in the weekly over here. The daily gave us that fakey breaky positive CRG even before the weekly did. Then that weekly gave us that, and then we had another positive CRG in the daily in blue here. And then we had a base, and then this is a mother bar break. See, you're gone, new high. All right. Cool. Altcoins are cool. Just be careful with them. I'm more of a Bitcoin, Ether, and XRP kind of guy. Shit coins, be careful with them. Right. If I do anything, and I do some of that stuff too, don't get me wrong, but it's completely speculative, and I'm okay with losing the money. Right. I'm okay with losing the money, but I don't play around with Bitcoin, right? I'm actually like a long-term holder, buyer, and I'm not like a Bitcoin maximalist or anything like that. But at the end of the day, it's a market. BlackRock is behind it. I'm gonna use, I just got new highs, right? We got new highs, so this thing just continues to grind higher. But of course, it's not the time to accumulate Bitcoin now, right? So again, wait for those pullbacks. Wait for those monthly. It's always funny that around cryptos. You can have one to 4 months being down, and being down, pulling back. People are like, oh, crypto runs over. Crypto. That's the time to accumulate. Okay, and then when you get all-time highs again, everybody wants to talk about it again, right? So you gotta quietly accumulate as you have 1 to 3 months down when Bitcoin's down from 100 to 7K, trading down to 77K, 80K, give or take, right? Not trying to catch the bottom, but you go into accumulation. Okay, if you accumulate it down into the 87 to the 84s, 83s, down into the 79s, 77s. Maybe you wanted to get some 67s, some 65K, but it never pulled back deep enough. But you accumulated into the 80s and 70s. Well, now it's trading 117. Okay, so you're up, 30, 30K, 40K, just in the price, right? That's the time to do it on those nice little pullbacks into the monthlies and the weekly timeframes there. Okay, I'm not accumulating into Bitcoin right now on new all-time highs. I'm waiting for that bigger pullback here, right? This is going to be distribution time, where if you were to take some profit, take a little profit. Okay, of course, I took a little profit with the team on iBit and BitTo. Took some time on that last week when Bitcoin popped out into a new all-time high. All right. I don't want to turn this into like a crypto thing. Get back over here. I forget exactly where I kind of left off on SPX. All good, but I think I was here, give or take, where we say, okay, we're going to open up at or around the 60 to 95 ish, right, give or take. And I was saying that we had a little bit of what's called a negative GEX environment here. Pretty interesting. We got this is from the market makers point of view here on this. So one of the things I was looking at is I switched this over to Gamma, market maker Gamma here, and we get a kind of a positive Gamma node here at the 60. What strike is this? 6,300. You can see right here, there's a little bit of a positive Gamma node right here. So as we're gapping up into at or around the 6,300 even over here on SPX, I just want to be aware that the market makers do have what's called a positive. These are sold on the left, it's sold, on the right, it's bought calls. These are bought calls. So that's a positive Gamma node right above there. So that would be a little bit more what's called resistance or supply coming in. Okay, as market makers would have to sell up into that 6,300. Okay, if we happen to break above 6,300, okay, we have a little bit of what's called a negative GEX environment regime up into above the 6,310 up into the 6,325. Okay, so yeah, that market makers would be a little bit more inclined to trade in that direction. So it could be a bit of a breaker. So 6,300, long story short, in English, is going to be a critical point in the SPX off this open here this morning on this gap up. It's not a massive Gamma node here, positive Gamma node, but enough to make a note here. And again, I realize not everybody might understand GEX or Gamma and Charm and things like that. It's advanced. Market maker positive Gamma node here. If we happen to go higher, see the market maker has sold calls here. We got 20. 20 would be a hit point too. And of course, we got a massive 6,350 here. Okay, this is all in supply, so I have really nothing to lean against other than options. So that was GEX. If I look at just the position number 2 as well from the market maker standpoint. So 6,300 and then 6,320 is going to be pretty interesting here. All right, so if we get above 6,310, we could go up into the 6,320. All right, just mapping that out there. I was waiting for 67K. Yeah, myself too. There's a weekly zone. I missed the entire upside. How to deal with this? If you missed it, you missed it. Unfortunately, you have to kind of like sit on your hands a little bit there. Don't get FOMO and emotional about it. But yeah, that's why I deploy a couple styles of execution: front side, back side, so on and so forth. What I just labeled there too on the positive COGs, that would be backside. But you just gotta be patient. It sucks. I know if you kind of missed that run, but you got to wait for your next flight, right? You got to wait for your next trade. So just be patient, reanalyze. Obviously the demand level is going to be pulled up now, and wait for a pullback and try to accumulate on bigger pullbacks into the monthly, weekly, and daily again on the pullback. It might take some time, right? It might take another month or a couple months, give or take, for that to be the case. All right, but as a trader, investor, you're gonna miss some trades and investments. So it's part of the business. It comes with it. It sucks, but stay strong, stay disciplined, stay patient, and you'll prevail. I so SPY's big gap up there, pretty decent. We'll see how that sustains, though. Just because we're gapping up does not mean that we're going to continue to go up. All right. If you are long, I see a couple of Phantoms members are already long, say, for example, like the NASDAQ or the Qs. Make sure right off the open, you TP some, take some profit off the open here. Nice little base break. You can see Qs here gapping up pretty significantly here, 0.8%. All right, on the base break. All right, kind of spoke a little bit about that. Gold, I'll skip over that for a moment. Yeah, pyramid want to exactly. So that would have potentially helped Kai. So we got skipped over Apple just because it's been annoying. Extremely range. Amazon in play, something I'm looking at as I have been over the past couple of weeks, if not even day trading days as well. Weekly time frame here in the middle. We had a positive COG 2 weeks ago. Past 2 weeks have kind of been like doji hammer bars here, trying to get some continuation here. Okay, you can see the daily kind of got into a little bit more of a base last week here. Okay, I got the daily over here on the left. I'm sorry, on the right, on the right, on the right. Okay, and last week, decent little close there. Okay, decent little close there because we have a bottom tail here, positive COG close in the weekly. Okay, everything's above the 20, the 200 above here. All right. If I look up and left, we have a couple levels up here, the up and left Amazon here, right? Daily time from the right, 230 handle, 229. We get to 235. We've got a couple of weekly highs up here in the upper left. Okay, some daily rally-based drop, some drop-based drop. So there's some supply up here, but that's up in here into the 230s. So we're pre-market court right now, 260, 226, rounding up to 227. So might be able to get some push here. Weeklies and monthlies on the Amazon are looking pretty decent for that to be the case. Okay, but as always, we're going to see how that intraday tape is going to line up and open up. Broadcom, AVGO, one of the stronger stocks on the planet here. Semiconductors having a good little morning here with NVIDIA and AMD. News via China, we can ship to them. Okay, good for NVIDIA and AMD. You got the weekly time frame in the middle. Again, continuation. Okay, past 2 weeks have been kind of a little bit, gradually going up, making new highs, right? New highs, new highs, new highs, new highs, new highs. Path of least resistance, easily could make another new, quote unquote, new all-time high at some point. All right, last week, a little bit of a doji here. It's been doji, right? Wick here, wick here, wick here. Again, tough to short. I'm still not going to try to short this AVGO, right? These little equal to new highs, pull back a little bit, picks up some demand, new high. Here's a new high, pull back. Right, we already had a pullback phase yesterday, right? Or even on Friday, pull back. We got this month's VWAP here. We got 20 EMA last month's VWAP here. Okay, and we're gapping up, outside gap up. So this could potentially pop out into a new all-time high potentially today. Okay, AVGO, all-time high. Google, another one that I'm kind of looking at too, where if I look at the monthly, it's been doing its thing, slow, grindy. Weekly in the middle, positive COG 2 weeks ago, very similar to Amazon. A couple of dueling bars here, wick here, wick here, wick. Closed decent last week. Okay, daily bar trying to give us something here. Friday closed decent positive COG, trying to showcase that bulls are trying to base break this higher. Okay, if I look up and left, of course, we have a weekly high right here that's noteworthy. That could potentially provide some liquidity if we pop above there. All right. And then we have another weekly, we have a couple weekly highs here. I don't want to make worthy of here. As current prices here. And if we look up and left, right? Up and left. So that's kind of like what it looks like here. So it's been a very slow grind, but this is trying to base break here. So Google and Amazon are very similar in that, of course, not at all-time highs, well, along with other tickers. But trying to play catch up here. Trying to play catch up. Is this yellow mustard base enough to get enough power to punch higher into this yellow mustard? Catch up with other mag 7 stocks. Playing catch up. Can we get up into? Is this mustard of weekly basing enough to pop out into getting up into this weekly level? And daily level of supply up here over the next couple of days, give or take. We'll see about that on the list here today. Tesla. Monthly, weekly, daily, kind of mid-range on the monthly. I'll just open right now. No, I need a little bit more time. NVIDIA gap up, be careful. There's a lot of open interest at the 170 handle, so be extremely careful. If long NVIDIA, TP some. I obviously own that in my long-term portfolio. That was an easy one. That's an easy one. So I'm going to have to TP some today if we're in the 170 handle. All right, we just opened up. We get these charts settled here. Palantir printing the 150 handle. That was a swing trade we're looking at. So Apple, Google, Microsoft holding the bid off open. Tesla as well. TPQs if you're in. We get some internals here really briefly. All right, advanced decline is positive 800. Not super extreme, but positive. Extreme, positive or negative 2000 would be extreme. Vol D up a little bit there. Extreme would be positive or negative 3. It's at a positive 2.3. JP Morgan had earnings. Decent pop it off earnings here today too. Wide range bar open here. JP Morgan had earnings just before the open today. Goldman Sachs, Netflix later. Wide range bar for the open on JP Morgan. There's going to be some high implied vol kind of carryover residually from the earnings announcement. Let me see if that died down a little bit here. Yeah, it died down, the implied vol. Still a little elevated here, albeit. Be a little patient on that, though. Let's see, Amazon. Amazon, interesting there. Apple trying to hold a bid, hard to trust. Broadcom kind of holding in the base there. See spies breaking down a bit off that. All right, so far this is a fade here. Broadcom holding the bid. You almost want to get some light spy puts here. All right, Broadcom, AMD, wide range bar, Coinbase looking interesting too. VIX on a slight uptick, advanced declines decreasing a little bit here. So I pick up a little light spies here. The 627 strike, just see at the monies are going for about $1.12 right now. 627 long spy put here. I'll check out AMD. This is the premium chart. Netflix is preparing for earnings. So this is a long put, which is bearish SPY. Just for a quick scalp off open here. Oops, I forgot to change the specify the account. Mason. I'm going to TP some of these puts here. AMD, if you're in long AMD, wide range bar TP, my man Striker hitting it. Be aggressive with this long put on SPYs if you are in this. TP a little more here, SPYs. The dreaded sound. Yeah, in Thinkorswim, I forgot to, if you have multiple accounts in Thinkorswim, they all put it all together in all accounts. And so I was still under that. So I have multiple accounts in Thinkorswim. So it was under all accounts. So when I clicked the button, it was like, hey, what account do you want to put this bad boy in, right? TP some SPY. So I just had to specify that. All good here. All right, TP some of these SPYs here, right? All right, lock in these 180 handles here. So really, that trade was not super easy. The bearish on SPYs, but just using the options profile, right? All right, trail stop. Make sure this can't hurt you no more. It's the long put premium here, so as price is going down, these put premiums will increase. Buying a put is bearish. Could also did this in S&P futures, selling short futures, which would be priced down, right? So stop loss at a minimum now can be a break even. So this can't hurt you no more. So there you go for the tube there. For the tube, for the YouTube, for the YouTube. YouTube. Red or sells, spot put. Which is bearish, and then I'm taking profit, taking profit, taking profit. Let me hit a little more right now. Counter trend trade. So you want to be, do not want to be aggressive with this. This could easily slice back up, proclaim daily VWAP, positive COG, and trick higher, right? Clip higher. So make sure you're TPing diligently. All right, short, these are all what buys, but buy to covers, okay? Let's see. So it's attacking a little bit here of what's called the negative GEX, but now we have what's called a positive gamma regime that we're coming down into right now as options kind of just changed. If I have a little more time here, I'd go into this and show you the changes on this. We have a positive gamma node here now. All right. Shout out Striker, AMD. Massive breakaway gap. Microsoft pop in here. Microsoft all-time highs. I mean, what stopped Microsoft? That's a pop. What are we trading? 505, 506 rounding up. Careful with these, with those spot puts. Make sure you're protected. That was just a short term off the rip, off the open trade, okay? That's not something I'm married to, if you will. I can cut out easy on that. $505, 506 Microsoft. 50507 half strike. Now we could try to be a little more Coinbase trying to set up too. This is Microsoft. Now we just popped. We're pulling back a little bit on that. All right, so here's the 507 half strike call in Microsoft just for Friday's expiration. Angelina, brother, you go so fast you could tell this was work for you. I'm actually going slower than what I would even usually go to. I'm actually slowing myself down a little bit here for Tube and Instagram. But yeah, been doing this a long time. I'm a trader. I'm a real life trader. But this is Microsoft here, right? So we got this is a 507 half strike. Pulled back a little bit on this if you wanted to kind of sneak into this in a little bit of a baby little pullback here. Okay, you can also just put in a bid order too. You say maybe like $2. Okay, because remember that was like a quick little spike. Doesn't mean that we're going to get continuation off that. We potentially could. So you can put maybe like put in a bid here. Say okay, I'll pick these up at like $2, maybe like 210 or something like that. So you can get your pullback. We already pulled back off of the 250. This is the call premium here. So we're already pulling back a little bit there. Just put a 210 bid for the 507 half strike call. All right. So you get a little bit more of a pullback there. All right. You can see SPY's still a little heavy now. Still. AMD following through here. AMD, we got continuation on this breakaway gap. So you can see SPYs are heavy. We're going to see some more SPYs. All right, unload some more SPY puts. And that's why I wanted to be very cautious and patient with Microsoft because of the heaviness in SPY at the moment. Heaviness meaning down a little bit here. TP some SPYs. Yeah, Money Mike Jameson. Just be a bit careful with the bullish its exposure, at least for right now. A little bit looks like Meta needs a little more time to settle in there. All right, Microsoft filled here the 210 premium. Let me snag this in my other account here. Make sure you TP some SPYs there, right? Money Mike in the house. AMD. Good. This thing's in my long-term portfolio. Bought it at like 100, like 90, 95. I think my last order was like 93-ish. Good. Nice. Talking about that forever. MSTR beast broke out last week. I got a bailout of some NVIDIA long-term portfolio. This thing just gapped up into the abyss even more. So NVIDIA, the biggest company in the U.S. Meta, yeah, just be careful with Meta at the moment. Kind of chopping around over the past couple of days here. Pullback, still decent for, this could be a base break higher, or we could start to go into some sweeping. So I still have these levels a bit more lower in the event that Meta wanted to mess around a little bit and swipe lower. I could see potential liquidity sweep below here potentially before we could have an inside bar fakey breaky on this before it wants to really go. Could be. So I'd have two plans of action on this. A cleared COG above here, trying to clear this base here. Plan one, and then plan two would be if we swipe. I could see them potentially swiping below 700 real quick on a sweep inside of this weekly demand before they take it. I almost selfishly so want that to happen so I can accumulate lower, if that makes sense. So just be patient with this. Unfilled gap, they almost filled that last Friday. So at some point, this is going to crack here. But I'm actually hoping that they swipe lower before they go and take it higher. That 695 level is looking sweet for a sweep. Oh, that'd be beautiful. That would be a beautiful. Yep, Microsoft got filled, Money Mike. Indeed, sir. Indeed. Coinbase. One of my faves. Dude, it took Hood in my long-term portfolio from like 49 to 50. Just dumped out some yesterday. Good trade. Coin, own it too. Good. I was looking to do this for day trade too here today. The crypto Bitcoin plays are just on fire. Bitcoin's at all-time highs. This was an aligned CRG right here for a nice little pump. Amazon looking decent. Amazon's trying to play some ball here, going against the trend. Coinbase new high. Going against the daily trend. Bezos, Jeffrey Bezos. Jeffrey Bezos. Let me see, 226. Yeah, the money's essentially here for $2. Pretty simple there. Microsoft trying to pop there a little bit there for us. Amazon's sometimes a slow cooker, so you can maybe try to work yourself in this on this. If I were to pick up these here, the 227 half strike call. All right, this could go lower down into the 160 handle in terms of premium. Okay, so just be aware of that. Sometimes it's a slow cooker on Amazon. All right, this is the 227 half strike. All right, just know that I can kind of pull back lower down into the 1 point. I'd even say 165 premium as well. limited on that. It's kind of going against the current trend of SPYs at the moment on a shorter term time frame. This would be an ad down here. All right, we'll see. Amazing. It's gotta be patient, brother. It'll come. And then one day, boom, meta down 34%, and you got your fill. TP some SPYs. I don't have a lot left here, but we just had an equal to new low on this. So lock out some more SPYs here. Make sure to stop break even on any remainder size on SPY puts. Make sure you protect yourself. Take profit. TP Timmy. Timmy. These are all TPs. Could we get a gap fill? Not sure. Looks like it wants to, but doesn't mean it's going to. Sometimes I'll play games with these fills here. We're gonna fill it. Trap. Don't fill it, and then we switch. So make sure you bring in your, up here is our entry, that red ellipse right there, right? So stop loss originally. The reason why I bring this up is because we should be trailing this, right? All right, so definitely break even no matter what there. All right, we can trail. We have what? Impulse, correction, impulse, new low. So here's a new pivot. So trail stop on runners. Advanced declines heavy, negative. Went from positive 800 to negative 400 now, trickling lower. Vol D lower. So you can see why I'm being a little bit more cautious with some bullish exposure here, albeit on these gap ups. All right, Microsoft pulled back a little bit there on us, right? Amazon trying to go. Coinbase gave free entry. Coinbase. S&P's at a little demand level here. Good. Let it drop. Let Meta drop. Good. Let that bad boy drop. Still, this thing's updated. The GAX profiles. Interesting today. Watch out for later in the event. We have negative GAX above. If this market drops lower and catches some bids, watch out if it goes higher, because that could definitely flip to the upside. We have it on GAX. So you see all these bot. These are all to the right of bot puts here. So it's all. If we get lower down into the, there's a massive wall here. 6265 on SPX. 6265 SPX. See that massive blue dark color code there with the green line through that? Okay. That is coming from this market maker bought put exposures. This is positive gamma. So as prices come lower down into this, market makers are going to be supporting this 62.65. Okay. So SPYs just have new low. I don't have a lot of contracts left on, but I have some still. So maybe show you TPing some SPYs lower here. First and foremost, you can see Microsoft challenging. That's why I got pullback orders, right? Or I had a pullback order on that, and slowing down, that might be a loss. Amazon kind of not doing great as well, not breaking out because the market's a little bit heavy right now. So make sure you TPing some SPYs. Money Mike Jameson here, bringing me to SPX, right? So we got this 65 handle, 6265, and you can see on Charm, it's in. The best way I could put this is it's selling pressure as well. So, all right. So this 6.5 handle SPX, interesting. 65. So if you want a little sneaky play, I'm not sure if we're going to get down here, but I'm on SPX right now. And this area right here, I think this is yesterday's VWAP, which will be this week's VWAP as well. This is a lot of confluence down in here. If SPX were to get down here, this would be a beautiful, this is a positive gamma node here. So I'll make this like a dark blue. I gotta piss. I gotta piss really bad. Ooh, I almost want this to hit today. I'm not sure if it's going to. But this is an impulse, basing impulse right below that gap fill. Oof, this is setting up pretty decent if this were to happen today. On the left, you see this impulse, basing impulse right here. This yesterday's, aka this week's VWAP. You get the date, it's 60 minute, 30 minute, 20 MA here. Last week's view up here. There's a lot of stuff right here. This would be beautiful entry. So I'd say get long. So first and foremost, TP, take profit from shorts. That is a must first. And this would be I'm not sure if we're going to hit it, but this would be a beautiful place to get bullish exposure, which is risk. Bullshit. Get bullish exposure. Okay. AVGO setting up decent. So a nice little fade trade. Told y'all right off the open, this 6,300 even was going to be pretty challenging there just with the options profile. So now it would be the other way, potentially down here. Okay, so I just made those notes there. Got kind of weird right there. So hopefully that makes some sense. If you don't know what gamma is and all that kind of stuff, well, it's a heavy topic that you can't learn in 2 minutes. There was a 4-hour class on this or something like that that we did at Phantoms, right? So if you know, you know. Pull your fades. Fade VWAPs, that is. So if you make a new low, front side, TP. So these would be buy to take profits, buy to take profits. The lower we get, especially down into the 65 handle SPX, get bullish exposure. Coinbase, what up, man? Yep, indeed. That might be at or around the Globex low and G trap area here too. In addition to that, if we swipe lower, good job. So bringing multiple things together to create finance. To create finance, yes, to create confluence, to create finance, to make you more money, to create finance creation. So this could be out around that positive gamma node here. So even number swipe on S&Ps too, right? VIX tagged overnight high, coming off the highs on that. Cumulative tick trying to do that smile there. Curving back up a little bit there. Would want it to be above the 0 mark. We're still below daily VWAP, so just be patient. We can swipe lower. So this anchored VWAP will help if you know how to work it. Corrective structure. I can't believe I'm missing AVGO right now. I can definitely work on some AVGO. SPY puts down to a very small size. Stop loss break even. That can't hurt you. Microsoft still kind of hanging out a little bit there. No reason to really get out. It's just base, potentially setting up for a base break. Amazon still in, doing its thing. Amazon did. Anybody already TP some Amazon already? Slow mover. I mean, Microsoft doing its thing here. The only thing left for it to do is just base break higher. Here we go. It might not, though. There's the all-time high in AVGO. Oh yeah, I'm sorry, Microsoft. The Google Meister. This thing's trying to go here too. See Google. This is chopping around mid-range, annoying. Google, if you kind of wanted to work on the, what are we trading, 184.20s? If you wanted to work the at the monies here, 185 strike, they're going for about $1.66. Not too bad there. on Google. You don't want it to get too far away from you here now. Clearing that red bar positive COG. Yeah, it's probably already up about like 30, maybe 20, 30 cents off these. So it's already going. It's already kind of going a little bit there. So you just want to be a little patient with that, especially SPYs is still a little heavy, folks, right? Still a little heavy. So this would be bullish exposure. You're taking this long call on Google. SPYs is still a little heavy. So you want to be a little cautious on that. But we do definitely need to have a setup, positive COG for sure on that. You can see SPYs are a little heavy here. All right, folks. I gotta piss. I gotta go. I gotta end this. Make sure Microsoft, Google, Amazon. Make sure you're you protect yourself in the event that we have no fall through. Okay, if this thing doesn't go, we just kind of get back down like the 180 handles on the on Microsoft Premium here. You might just want to maybe cut yourself out there. And Amazon as well, kind of working out a little bit here, trying to go. I got an ad limit down here. It's looking kind of annoying. All right, but you just gotta be a little bit patient here. SPYs is still cannot cross its daily VWAP here. So battle testing right now, right? But Amazon, Google, AVGO, Microsoft doing their thing. Even AMD as well. Kind of choppy a little bit there, but just off the gap. The gap did a lot of the work, so just be patient with that. Make sure you're trading the tape. If you want to learn a little bit more about this, good to see my phantoms in here. I'll go head up TradePhantoms.com, right? Click on register, and you'll see a page that looks something like this, where July 17th, which is this Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so about 2.5 days from now. Name, email, click register. You get sent the link. Here's the agenda. I'm not going to read all that out. Y'all can read. I'm hoping Mr. Black or Mr. Green, sometimes both of them at the same time, will host about a 90-minute kind of class, if you will. Tell you about Phantoms is all about, right? First and foremost, and then how professional traders trade. Right? We're all from the professional side of things here, and all assets, right? Stocks, futures, forex, options, crypto, even as well. AVGO new high. If you caught that, TP, some good job. For you folks, good job. You can see the team working hard in here. Good to go. All right, stock, futures, forex, options, even crypto, short-term scalping, which I'm kind of even doing right now in the futures and options, all the way to long-term wealth management, which is what I'm also doing as well. Actually, after I go take a piss, I'm going to come back to Bito, TP a little bit of the Bitcoin plays as close to those new highs where Bitcoin breakout, MSTR, same thing, coin and hood as well, right? So anyways, I gotta go. This is Mr. Blue here. Hopefully y'all learn a little bit here. Hopefully I'll put a little coin in the bank here, and I'll see some of my phantoms later today for class, and then tomorrow morning in the live trading room being Wednesday. God bless. Take care. Blue out. Trade safe. Be safe.